Before Metallica became a global force, there was Cliff Burton, a musician who didn't just play bass, but redefined what it could be. With wild hair, fearless creativity, and a sound that blended classical influence with pure metal power, Cliff brought depth, emotion, and intelligence to heavy music. Hello, and welcome to the Church of Rock and Roll, where we celebrate rock legends and artists who have left us. He wasn't interested in fitting in. He wanted to explore, experiment, and push boundaries. Though his life was tragically short, his influence is timeless. Cliff Burton didn't just help shape Metallica's early sound, he left a legacy that still echoes through metal music today. Burton was born in Castro Valley, California, to Raymond and Jeanette Burton. He had two elder siblings, Scott and Connie. Burton's interest in music began when his father introduced him to classical music and began taking piano lessons. In his teenage years, Burton developed an interest in rock, classical, country, and eventually heavy metal. He began playing the bass at age 13, after the death of his brother, who died from a brain aneurysm. His parents quoted him as saying, "I'm going to be the best bassist for my brother." He practiced up to 6 hours per day, even after he joined Metallica. Along with classical and jazz, Burton's other early influences varied from southern rock to the blues. In 1982, Burton's band called Trauma traveled to Los Angeles to perform at the Whiskey A Go Go. Among those in attendance were James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, both members of Metallica, which had formed the previous year. Upon hearing, Hetfield described it, "This amazing shredding." The two decided to recruit Burton for their own band. Their debut album, Kill 'Em All, features Burton's showcase, Anesthesia Pulling Teeth, which displayed his use of effect pedals, such as a wah-wah pedal and electro harmonics, big muff, which are not commonly used by bassists. The album was released on July 25, 1983, through Megaforce Records. The band's second studio album, Ride the Lightning, showcased the band's rapidly evolving musical growth. Burton's songwriting abilities were growing, and he received credit on 6 of the album's songs. Burton's playing style and use of effects is notably showcased on 2 tracks: the chromatic intro to For Whom the Bell Tolls, and the lead bass on Call of Cthulhu. The band's improving musicianship on Ride the Lightning caught the attention of major record labels. Metallica was signed to Elektra Records and began working on their 3rd album, Master of Puppets, which is considered by most critics to be a landmark album in heavy metal. Among the tracks featured on the album are the instrumental Orion, which features a prominent lead bass section, and the title track, which was Burton's favorite Metallica song. Master of Puppets was the band's commercial breakthrough release, and Burton's final album with the band.
Not a huge demand right now.
What's it like being on tour with Ozzy?
Real good. It's a lot of fun. Things are going real well. 55 minutes, all our stage setup.
Get treated well. Yeah. You guys hang out with the guys from their band?
Now and then, it's night off, go out to the local bar or whatever, but
depends who's where, you just kind of run into people here and there, more or less.
What do you think about Ozzy and Metallica as a touring package?
Good. Real good. Both doing real well. I think kind of complement each other. It's a good deal.
What do parents think about all this?
They're into it.
Yeah, your parents are well into it. So is Kirk's. Lars is as well.
Really?
My dad, whatever.
You think they look at you a little differently when they see the album so high on the charts?
Well, it makes them, they're proud and they're happy that there's some success going on, It's a bit of a relief for them. They'd be pretty worried about it years ago.
Do they come out and see your shows?
If it's appropriate, if the venue's right, I don't bring them to any small riots that we have in Frisco, We've been known to play a few of those.
And mom up front.
What are your influences? What did you guys grow up listening to?
Old Sabbath, Rush,
Aerosmith.
Thin Lizzy. A lot of Thin Lizzy. Great band.
Editorial on Thin Lizzy. Cliff, I read that you're into blues.
I'm into a lot of different kinds of music. That's
Blues Reds.
not real.
He's into yellow.
That's not real accurate. I'm into a lot of different stuff. Classical music, punk,
beer.
In Sweden, on the Damage Incorporated tour, in support of Master of Puppets, the band members complained that the bunks on their tour bus were unsatisfactory and uncomfortable. The story of how Burton won the bunk differs between the two band members. As Kirk Hammett stated on VH1 Behind the Music, he and Burton drew cards, and Burton getting the first choice of bunk. Ulrich's version of the event was that they drew straws. Burton was sleeping when, according to the driver, shortly before 7 a.m. on September 27th, the bus skidded off the road and flipped onto the grass in Kronoberg County with no safety restraints on the bunks. Burton was thrown violently through one of the windows of the bus, which fell on top of him right afterwards, killing him instantly. He was 24 years old.
Get it all together, we were arguing with each other and saying, well, I want your bunk, well, I want your bunk, blah, blah, blah. I've never told anyone this, by the way. But, our manager said, well, why don't we just draw cards? We said, sure. So, we shuffled the cards, said highest card gets first choice of bunks. So, I reach for a card and I pick 2 of hearts. Cliff reaches for a card, he gets ace of spades. James gets a card, Lars gets a card. So, Cliff has first choice of bunks. So he says, I want your bunk, Kirk. I go, fine, So he gets my bunk. I end up with a bunk in the front of the bus, which was not as good. And that night the accident happened, and it was a horrible thing because Cliff was in my former bunk. What happened that night was that the driver supposedly hit a patch of ice and the bus skidded. It shattered the windows and Cliff got thrown out of the bus and the bus landed on top of him. When it actually happened, I got thrown out of my bunk and knocked unconscious for 3 or 4 seconds. And when I came to, I heard everyone screaming, but I didn't hear Cliff. And I instantly knew something was wrong because I didn't hear him. And I got out of the top of the bus because there's an emergency hatch at the very top of the bus. And I turned around and there was Cliff. And I just said, oh my God. And I walked away, and I was in absolute shock. And I was delirious. I was in shock. I was hysterical.
Burton's body was cremated and the ashes were scattered at the Maxwell Ranch. At the ceremony, the song Orion was played. Shortly after Burton's death, Jason Newsted from Flotsam and Jetsam became Metallica's new bassist. He wasn't just a bassist standing in the shadow of guitars. He was a force that shaped Metallica's soul. His playing carried classical weight and raw chaos at the same time, turning metal into something thoughtful, emotional, and fearless. Cliff brought depth where there could have been only speed, melody where there could have been only noise. You can hear him not just in the notes, but in the ambition of the band he helped build. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We would also like to thank our new subscribers for joining us. When Cliff died so young, it felt brutally unfair, like a story cut off mid-sentence. The road took him, but it couldn't take what he had already given. There's a particular kind of heartbreak in knowing how much more he had to say, how far his creativity could have gone. That grief still echoes, not only for the person he was, but for the future that never got to exist.